Now, let me come to you first, Abdel. Now, adoption of cloud was hastened because of the COVID pandemic lockdown. Space, you had to work from home, you had to scale up and scale down at the drop of a hat. So, this was the need of the hour. Cloud was something that was adopted by many people during the pandemic. Now we are slowly returning to our offices. So are cloud capabilities being redrawn, scaled down, or enhanced? What is your experience?
Hi everyone, it's Abdel Ghani from Nazih Group, heading all IT initiatives or digital transformation in Nazih Group at the group level. Okay, this is a very important question now, especially that COVID-19 has progressed a lot. So now we are back to normal life, back to the office somehow. In Nazih, from our experience related to the cloud, mostly, we have adopted our e-commerce platform, which is Magento on cloud, on AWS. This was also pushed by the COVID situation, because people didn't really want to visit the showrooms anymore during that period. So this is number one. Second thing, we are using our project management tool, our help desk system also on the cloud. These are, we are happy with it. And we noticed that once we moved to the cloud, everything was more simple. Managing the platform was very simple. We shifted all the risk related to high availability, to downtime, everything to the cloud provider. It was much more simple to manage. So we had 99.9 availability, performance, fast service, faster time to market. Within no time, we had our service up and running. This was very beneficial, and we started making profit. However, now that we are back to the office, especially that we are not a startup, we have already an IT infrastructure available. We have a data center. We have all the UPS, all the HA system implemented. So we started to think again about the total cost of ownership, which is our TCO. And we cannot, it felt that some systems or some platforms, we still think that it's better to have a hybrid approach, which is some system have them on the cloud, some other system leave them in the office, and enjoy it that way. So I can say easily that somehow it scaled down after COVID, but we were forced to enjoy the benefit of the cloud during that period.
Okay,
that's our end.
Okay, so some things will perhaps move back to on-premise data centers, and we'll explore with you how you make a decision on what moves to on-premise, what remains in the cloud. We'll explore that with you a little later. But Laila is with us as well. And Laila, you've done a lot of work on smart cities, on IoT devices. Now, at the time of the pandemic, I'm sure physical movement of people was hampered. So what happens to the plans of having a smart city, of data collection, of analyzing? What kind of challenges did you face during the pandemic?
Thanks, Anisha, for raising that question. Let me say it wasn't a challenge during COVID-19, as I consider it opportunities, because COVID-19 has accelerated all of these plans when it comes to the data transformation and smart cities. So even when it comes to the smart cities, at that time, not everyone, was talking about smart cities, but as soon as we started COVID-19, everyone saying that we need these smart solutions to make our life easier. Because when we speak about, during the lockdown in COVID-19, we were locked in our homes and so on. We wanted to have all the services, reaching us, because it would be difficult for us to leave home because of the lockdown. So what happened actually, there was a huge demand, or let me say, there was a pressure also on the organizations that were offering these services. So everyone, they felt the importance of having all of these services online, and everyone started demanding, we need more. people are not satisfied with the current services. So because they loved, because they found it's not about luxury, it is something necessary and it's part of our lives. So we started, aligning our plans to be with the COVID-19, because with COVID-19, people cannot, for example, go and renew their license. So what we should do, they should renew it online. So Alhamdulillah, here in Oman, we have a very good services offered by Oman Royal Police, and we have all our services, just in one app. So we can just go to the app, renew our license, get our license electronically, even our visas, our passports, and so on. So it was all on that mobile app. And because of that, people make that pressure. They say we need all the services to be online and get to us. So when it comes also to the strategies, even the organizations, Anisha, we used to, for example, some organization, their employees, they used to have desktop. So when we got COVID-19, they were not able to work from home. Some of them, they say we don't have a laptop. So how can we change our strategy? No more buying, for example, desktop, because COVID-19 taught us a very good lesson, even if we are coming back to our offices, because we might get that risk anytime. So we have to change all our plans because what happened recently.
Laila, what was the role played by the cloud? You were saying that you had to be agile and flexible in offering your services to the doorsteps of customers, even if it's renewing your license. You would need an infrastructure to do that. You would need to process the data. You would need to know that there is such a need. If the cloud was not there, where would you have stored this data? And how would you have processed it? Laila, the question is for you. I'm trying to understand how cloud has helped you in your situation with the smart cities and offering services at the doorsteps. You said that. So you said that you were on your feet. You gave solutions to customers at their homes.
Exactly. Yes.
But to process the data, to understand how many people are looking to renew their license, to then create a platform and be able to service them at given time slots to create a solution. You would need to process the data and collect the data. So where did you keep it? Did you keep it at servers? Would it solve your solutions when people are not moving around, or will cloud come to your rescue?
Okay. Let me share our experience, Anisha, because when it comes to the smart solutions, let me first speak about what kind of service that we are looking for when it comes to the smart cities, because everyone is asking me why we need smart cities and what are the smart cities, and I was telling them, smart city is not a fancy story. It's not about, talking about the moon and so. It's about our cities, but it's about the basic and the essential services that we need in our lives. For example, me or you, Anisha, when we are at home, we need, for example, to pay all our bills, just online. For example, when it comes to some of the services. Here in Oman, for example, the gas utility, we're still trying to digitalize that service, because we're still using the manual way, which is with the cylinder and so on. As soon as it is, the gas is over, so we got panic and order for the gas and so on. But when it comes to the other, utilities, we already have the smart metering with the electricity and the water. So now we have these utilities digitalized, and we are trying to focus on most of the other infrastructure. When it comes to these utilities, you asked a very good question about the data. The data of these utilities is all transferred, through one connectivity, and we have a connectivity just linking all of the IoT sensors with our platforms, because we cannot use, the Wi-Fi connection to connect our sensor. We have to get our own connectivity, and we're using LoRa connectivity, so we can make sure it is secure. Then we transfer all of the data of our sensors that we're using in the smart utilities to our, smart dashboards, and there we analyze the data and so on. So we keep our data secured in one platform, and then we provide the data to our service providers, so they can each of the bills. So that's how we really start working with these utilities. And I'm always telling them, it's not enough where we are. we should go advance with that, because everyone is asking for more and more. So we have to be creative, innovative. And that's what I'm trying to do. For example, here in office with my team, every day we are just meeting, trying to discuss what are the new technologies at market, what we as citizens, when we would like to have it to make our lives easier, because smart cities is about improving about our quality of life.
Definitely improving with newer technologies, doing more with less input. That is how you live a smart life. Now, Abdel, you said that now that some of your employees are going back to office, you are realigning your cloud strategy. You want to maximize, cost optimization. You want to optimize the cost because of the existing infrastructure that you had. Now, how do you decide what remains on the cloud and what you take back to the on-premise data centers that you have? Will it be security? Will it be ease of usage? How do you decide what stays in the cloud and what doesn't?
Okay, this is a very good question. I know everybody knows nowadays is saying that cloud is the new trend. So people are pushed to go to the cloud. Management is coming to us and telling us, why don't we go and put everything on the cloud now? So this is the new trend. However, we really need to analyze and assess case by case. This is from the experience we had and from the partner proposals that came here and tried to propose their solutions. Now, most partners, every time they will come to us and they will tell us, you want an ERP system? We have two offerings. We have on-prem and we have on cloud. Same for the mail system. So we have to do our analysis and accordingly decide. So the main factors that we currently assess before we decide which approach, and this is, people can note them down and use them in the future. First thing is that mostly cloud, it is take it or leave it. So they provide you, for example, an ERP system with this kind of processes, this kind of standard functionality. So you take it as it is. So number one, I will say, how custom is your process from a company perspective? Is it standard? You are ready to adopt the standard process? Definitely go for the cloud. If you think your process or the system process that SAP or Oracle or SAP Core is providing on the cloud is rigid and you cannot customize it, and your current process is custom, then better to go even on-prem, or you go on the private cloud where they will give you full access for you to have some customization. So let's say if it is 90% standard, 10% custom, go with the cloud. If it is 70% standard, 30% custom, definitely go for private cloud or for on-premise. Other point that we need to take is the number of licenses or number of users that you will be buying. Most cloud offering are now per user, or per bracket of users. So if you buy, for example, 1,000 user on Office 365 email server, it will be and you buy a security appliance for that, some company will offer you per user. If you buy the same appliance on-prem, you will buy a bracket of users and you can add up to that bracket. So it will be much cheaper. However, you will lose the updating of the device to have always be up to date, have the latest security patching from the company sites that you don't have to worry about. One more, this is if your solution needs to be constantly updated, better go with the cloud. They will take care everything for you. They will always keep you on the latest version. Then the last point is the budget. You have to do your total cost of ownership. So if you are having some in-house IT team that is managing your IT infrastructure already, and you have some room in your data storage, again, if it is not yet depreciated, better depreciate it and use it, then go to the cloud. Otherwise, if you're a startup and you didn't invest in IT infrastructure yet, better go to the cloud, because you will have faster time to market. So that's some points that we evaluate to decide if we go with the cloud or we go on the on-prem. I hope it was meaningful.
Yes, I've understood most of it, Abdel. But what about things like data security, where data is sensitive would you then perhaps not migrate to a cloud, or perhaps not a public cloud? Sometimes regulations demand that some of your data is within the country in a data center. So what about these considerations when thinking about what to move to the cloud and what to move
exactly
on-premise?
exactly what you mentioned here. For example, let's say we are putting an e-commerce platform on the cloud. It's okay, nothing is there, not much information is being shared. This is when you will go to something like the or IT help desk or a project management tool, or HRMS system. Somehow here the salaries, does the company wants to have these salaries informed, then you will have to, in that scenario, like the banking industry, and you have all these compliance issues. Mostly they will prefer that they provide you a private cloud where you own, they will give you the server or everything, but you manage from your side. You have the password, you manage the database, you manage everything. They will make sure the system is highly available, storage is available, security patching is available, layers are implemented from that side, but everything else you do from your side. Nowadays also there is all these NDAs, data confidentiality, that you can sign with the provider. But even though we know better, at the end of the day, nobody knows who has access to the data, right? even if they sign everything. So I still prefer anything that has confidential data not to put it on the cloud at this level, unless it's private cloud. Everything else, put it on the cloud.
Okay, so data confidentiality could be another reason to determine what you should move to the cloud or not. Laila, you were talking about IoT sensors and how the data that they pick up help in streamlining the service to be offered. You mentioned the utilities are using this data and then giving the service. Now for customers, it's a great ease to be able to solve so many of these problems without making a physical effort. Could you tell us the benefits that accrue to the utilities or the companies who are using IoTs, collecting data, analyzing it, and offering smart solutions? Laila, I'd request you to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Okay. I just, joined my new job recently, and because I was first working in government, and now I just moved to the private sector. And when I was in the government sector, I was talking about the smart solutions, the smart cities theoretically, and we're working at the governance level and so on. So when I just now moved, I started, realizing that we are now working closely. These are now my toys in my office. These are the sensors that we're working closely with it and so on. So before it was just, we are talking about it at governance level and so on. Now I can see how can we be very close from these, sensors, and how it's really going to help us and improve our lives and so on. Because when it comes to these sensors, we need it badly in our lives, as I said, Anisha, because the first thing that we need it in any city is and even, Abdel, he mentioned that we need to take care very well about the infrastructure. So when it comes to the infrastructure of any city, in order to make it smarter, because I say the smart cities is our cities, but we are improving the service in these cities. So most of these services is based on the IoT sensors. Okay, how we are going to use the IoT sensor? We can use it in different services, but I'm going to focus mostly so I can make it clear and much easier for the others to understand it. I just show you now one of the sensors, and in National Energy Center, we are mostly experienced in two different utilities, which are the water and the gas. One of the challenges, when it comes to the customers, for example, with the manual reading, because you have to send an employee to go and read the reading of your manual reader, so they can send the bill, they issue the bill for you. But imagine, Anisha, that you are not in your home, because most of us, in order to read our metering, some of us, our metering is inside the home. So sometimes, these employees, they reach the home and they found nobody there. So it's like a locked door, for example, challenge. And because of that, they report to the company that we couldn't read, the metering for this house, for example. So what the companies they do, they predict what was your usage for this month. And imagine that you are not in your home, you are on vacation. So you'll get the same bill of the last month when you were staying there, using all the electricity and so on. So you just return back and you feel angry about that.
And there are disputes, and then disputes take time to resolve.
Exactly. And then you are getting angry and what happened and so on. So why we need the smart metering? We need it for efficiency, so we can get the precise data that can be transferred easily to the company providers. And when it comes to the data, how can we make it secure? As I already mentioned, because of the security, we have to make sure it is transferred through a specific connectivity for the IoT sensors to get it precisely the same reading, not prediction for your previous usage. So this is a kind of just one example, for example, we are now doing, and one of the good examples how we are using the IoT sensors to analyze the data. Let me share with you a very interesting project that we have launched as part of National Energy Center. We have, for example, like a POC, proof of concept, because we wanted to show, the community, the society, the government, why we need these IoT sensors, because it's going to save cost, water, because, we have a lot of non-linear water. All of us, when we drive in the streets, we find a lot of water flooding because of explosion of one of the pumpings or leakage and so on. So we always, cannot, predict the issue unless it is coming, on the top. So what we did exactly, we have these sensors embedded in the underground. So imagine this is the surface and we have our sensors underground. So it was just a small area in Muscat. When it comes to the data, per day, only one day, we found out, let me share with you some of these statistics that I'm always having it in front of me. The loss of water, it was around 6,500 meter, it's about 6,500,000 liters per day. So can you imagine that? 6,500,000 liters per day, which is around 1,625,000 gallon per day. And if you are going to count that with cost, it's going to cost us in Omani Riyal, it's around 3,250 Omani Riyal. So it's almost around maybe more than 10,000 $10,000. And annually, it is around more than 1 million Omani Riyal. So, and this is just a small area in Muscat, because sometimes people, they say technology is really expensive, but when you show them with the data, how you are analyzing the data, they will realize, okay, you are saving for us cost, you are saving for us a national resource, because the water is really something precious for all of us. And to know that we are losing a lot of water because of the leakage, that's really, like a international disaster. And we have this internationally everywhere. So now, because of these sensors, it sends, some emergency alarming that there is an issue, there is a leakage, so go quickly and fix the issue. So this has prevent at least the leakage of the water, or let us say the explosion, so we can solve the issue earlier.
So it saved the business hard money by having the sensors and having the data. So you've given us an example of how it has actually helped a company in saving money. Now, Abdel, I wanted to find out from you that, because of the pandemic, you had to do many things which you hadn't quite planned. But how easy or tough was it to move from your legacy IT systems and come on to the cloud and adopt digital transformation? What challenges did you face? Abdel, you're on mute.
His turn to be muted.
Okay. Ms. Laila, you mentioned something very interesting that will come in my session later on, which is you tackled the point related to the benefit of this digital transformation. So any digital transformation needs to be justifiable by a business benefit or return on investment. This is, or a business case. This is a very important point to sell your digital transformation project. This is what I will stress on my session in half an hour from now. So, okay. So now I can tell you before exactly the COVID came, we ventured into a very big transformation project in Nazih Group, and we called it Transforming, which is Transform NG, Nazih Group. That was, we replaced our legacy ERP system with the latest version of SAP. Okay, so there are many lessons learned. It will take hours to mention them one by one, but I can tell you some 4 or 5 points that are good to highlight and good to be known by people who will venture into a similar digital transformation from the beginning. First of all, I will say the receiving organization or the receiving departments, are they capable of running the new SAP processes? Are they ready? That was a very big challenge. We finished all the project, and we needed to make sure the people that were using the old ERP system now can handle SAP with all these new features, functionalities, replenishment process, batch management, expiry dates, all these new kind of promotions, happy hour, everything. So that was very important. So what we did is we involved a core team member from every department so they can go with us during the execution of the project, not at the end only. We implemented also a bonus schema to motivate the team and make them involved. And we provided necessary training at the time, before and after we went live. So the transition was more smooth. Another point was meeting the timeline. That was very challenging, especially that COVID started. We did some remote work also, and we had to postpone the go live by 1 month. So the steering committee met and made sure to involve and inform the main people, the core team members, that if we don't go live, we will be accountable, and they opened the door to resolve all issues. They had an open door policy. So that was, and one more thing was very important. The core team members from the business were removed from day-to-day operations and were put full-time on the project. That was very important point, because people cannot focus on 2 things at the same time. One more challenge was the stabilizing the legacy, the new system after the go live. What we did for that is that we had 1 month of hyper support by the vendor, on-site support. So they stayed 1 month after the go live on-site, full support till everything was stabilized. 2 points also are important. One is the ownership of the business department. This is something very important. Even the governance structure or our steering committee nominated 1 business process owner from every department to make sure they maintain and improve the new system. Otherwise, if this was not done in some department, people are tempted to go back to their old Excel work and not use the system if there was no ownership. Even though the IT people or the supplier finished the project, you cannot make sure until you have an owner that the end user will use the new functionality or not. And we implemented a new onboarding with HR department for all the new staff to make sure once they are sitting on their desktops or sitting on their working machine, they know how to handle the system. So these are some of the challenges we faced and how we provided solutions for them.
All right. Laila, I wanted to find out from you if there are challenges when it comes to smart technology and IoT devices. How do you secure them? Because we are seeing a lot of increase in cybersecurity risks. Could these be hacked? Could these be manipulated? How are these risks managed?
Okay, that's really a good question, Anisha. But I would like also to add first to Abdel what he just mentioned, because when it comes to the data transformation, this is one of my close to me because I was working for 10 years with the National Data Transformation in Oman. So I have seen the pain and challenge that we have been working closely at the government level. Now I'm working mostly with the private sector. So when it comes to these challenges, I'm really sorry that Anisha, I'm not answering, but I'm coming back again to you because I really want also to attract attention to this area, because when we were in the government, when it comes to implementation of any new technology and so on, or let us as the solutions, we always wanted the others to start so we can follow up. Because, you know, most of the organization, the government, they say, we cannot do it. Let us wait the other organization, or let us wait that, you know, organization X or Y to start, then we will start. And most of them, they say, no, we are afraid to do it. We cannot do it. We do not have the capabilities. Sometimes it's not just a matter of, you know, they are afraid of the fail and so on. Sometimes it's related actually, and I believe mostly it's about the organizational culture. If the organization is not, you know, changing all the culture. For example, does all the employees using online services in their organization, or they are still using manual services? For example, do they use ERP system to get all the HR services and the finance, or they are still have to get the approval signed on a paper and so on? And we still have that, you know, in some organizations, so on. So this is one of the things that, you know, happened at the case of digital transformation, and why they also have a lot of threats when it comes to the cybersecurity. Sometimes they do not have, you know, the dedicated team, because sometimes they say, okay, we need just 1 or 2 persons who are responsible about the cybersecurity. But when it comes at the government level, it is the most important division that we need to have it in all the organizations, because they every year that we are becoming more smarter, the hackers are becoming more smarter. I'm really impressed with the hackers, because, you know, they have a very, you know, genuine mentality. So we have to understand them. We have to be careful about them, because we have to keep awareing our, you know, the citizens or the employees to not, for example, open any suspicious links or not share any personal information when it comes, so they cannot reach the systems. But when it comes to the smart cities, it's another story. So with the government, or let me say, when it comes to the companies and so on, it's about awareing, you know, the employees having different qualities and so on. But with the smart solutions, it's with the sensor itself. So it's a matter of how you are implementing these sensors, because you have to follow up some checklist, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because, for example, if I'm going to use LoRa connectivity, there is a checklist I have to follow up. If I'm not following this checklist, I might be hacked anytime. I might be, you know, losing my data, its use, and so on. And with the smart solutions, it's more critical, because we are getting the data of everyone, because we are getting the data of the users and so on. So we have to be very careful when it comes to the security. And that's why we need also to be smarter when it comes to the security, to follow all these procedures. So this is what I could share from my side, Anisha.
Yeah, so you're saying that security cannot be just assigned to 1 or 2 people in the team. It's a responsibility of everyone.
It's about the policy, and, you know, it's something a must. It is necessary, because we are digitalized and there's a technology, but the threats is also causing a lot. There's some countries that, you know, because of the cyber threats, it costs them a lot of money. Because, you know, for example, some of them, they were using the Bitcoin and so on. They say, if you are not paying for us with Bitcoins, we are going to reveal all your critical data and so on. Yeah,
definitely. So security is very important. We're coming to the close of this session. Abdel, there is a question that has come in, and an anonymous user has asked, you know, he was sharing what you were saying, Abdel. He's asking, how do you handle the revenue repercussions when you have dedicated staff for new digital process? So you said that, you know, the operation heads are put onto the project. How do you manage the revenue repercussions there?
Revenue repercussions related to, can you explain more, please?
Yeah, what I understand of this question is that you said that, you know, when you were moving from legacy systems to newer systems, operation heads were asked to work dedicatedly on the project. So then what about the revenue generating streams of the business? If the operating heads were working on the project, did the revenue operation suffer? How did you manage that?
At the end of the day, owners and shareholders care too much about the revenue. So they will tell you at the end of the day, don't come close to our showroom day-to-day operation. Don't come close to our invoicing process. Customers should not feel any impact that you are changing your system or anything. However, you have only two options here. First option is to try to distribute the tasks that were being done by the person that you will take him out from day-to-day operations, or put him in the implementation team. You have to distribute his tasks to the other subordinates. This is the first option. And in that case, he can maybe 1 day per week, he can also go back to operations. This is number one, the first option. Second option is that he goes out completely from operation and he will join SAP team, part of the support people in the future. And you have to hire someone instead of him. As simple as that. We had to do that. So someone, for example, from the purchasing department became very knowledgeable. And now he became someone who is giving support for all inquiries or issues or concern related to the purchasing module in SAP. So don't touch the business, don't touch the revenue stream. Make sure you don't touch it. So give solutions, give alternatives always.
All right. That was a nice answer. Thank you, Laila and Abdel, for joining us for this fireside chat on cloud transformation. I've learned a lot about IoT devices, smart cities, and of course, cloud transformation, how it works, in day-to-day life. Thank you both for joining us. Real pleasure having your views.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anisha. Okay.
Thank you so much.